Tariffs are forecasted to hit here in just a couple of days, and I think what we're starting to see in the crypto market is obviously people are not reacting to it super well. One thing that I am wondering a little bit about though is why is there so much selling going on right now? Because I think like we've been seeing this plan in action for over a month now, and so I mean maybe the market was expecting that that the tariff plans might have been canceled. Really hard to say for sure, but what we can see is that the market overall has not really been reacting well at all. I think there's a wide sentiment in the market that tariffs are going to have an inflationary impact and going to be potentially detrimental to the American economy overall, which of course is not good for crypto. Crypto needs a particularly strong economy, as it is usually a beta play to a lot of that type of stuff. So I want to just kind of go over a quick overview of where we're at in the market as we're moving in to the beginning of the week in which the reciprocal tariffs are going to take place. I think there's going to be a ton of volatility, a ton of uncertainty, a ton of fear, a lot of that kind of already happening already. So I want to just kind of prepare you all for that so we can discuss that and make sure that you're not caught off guard with anything that we may be seeing upcoming this week. So anyway, starting out, let's take a quick look at crypto bubbles. We can see things down basically wholesale to the red. We can see a couple of greens here and there, but overall everything very, very strong leaning to the red here. Now moving on, if we look at the week, we can see same type of thing, even more red, month even more red, and then year. I mean, we've seen some really crazy drops over the past year. So obviously, a couple really strong movers here and there, but overall it has been a very, very bad year for crypto, which is really surprising because this is the most pro crypto administration that we have seen. So a little bit interesting that we're seeing these types of results with such a pro crypto administration, but I do think that maybe there's a little bit more to that we can maybe discuss. But moving on, if we just take a quick look at the market overview, we can see things looking pretty rough all the way over, right? We saw a little bit of a run up here on the open interest, but that has started to curve down as price has fallen off a little bit. If we look at the RSI heat map, the market average has moved back into weak, some even getting closer into oversold. Very, very few in overbought or strong, basically everything in either neutral or weak. Also, we can see on the crypto fear and greed index, we have dropped back into fear. We were in neutral for a handful of days. We look at the past week, we can see about 3 days in neutral and 4 days in fear. So kind of teetering between fear and neutral with a lot of the negative price action that we have seen recently. Of course, that's kicked us back into fear. And then if we look at the exchange liquidation map, this is something that may be potentially encouraging news here because we can see so many liquidations stacked up on shorts. So if we were to see a kind of a quick pump, even just up to like 89K, that would liquidate almost $9 billion of leverage, tons and tons of money to the upside. Where if we look to the downside, the market is basically, it's pretty consensus bearish. There's not really a lot of people who are looking to take longs, particularly for a long period of time. And so this is something that we always need to be careful of and we always need to be watching, because this is very important, right? Obviously, the market makers know where this stuff is, and in my opinion, we've seen this in the past. They're kind of hunting for this, right? So that's kind of my opinion there. If we do look at the Bitcoin chart, we can see something pretty interesting. So we obviously were talking about this wedge that had kind of been forming up over the past couple of weeks. We saw Bitcoin kind of start to catch a little bit of some bullish momentum here. It got rejected 5 times in a row. And then obviously we've seen it break down out of this wedge. We are still following this descending trend line that we've been following for over 3 months now. So it's very important to consider that that we still have not broken this trend line. And that's really going to be the most important thing that we do need to see. We can see that the RSI, it's a little bit below average, but nothing too crazy. I would say this is like probably weak, but not oversold, not even close to oversold. Overall, still pretty okay, I would say. And then we can see kind of the 2 main levels of support here. The first one being at kind of the 76,500, and the second one being here at about the 74-ish thousand. So a couple of really, really, really crucial supports that we do need to see hold up. These are going to be very, very important because in my opinion, we talked a little bit about this on the live stream that we did on Friday. But if we do see these break, I would think that this is the point in which I would feel somewhat comfortable saying that the bear market is over. Some of you are saying, it's already over. That could be true. Hard to say for sure, but just from like a structural and a technical perspective, I would say it's not really for sure over until we break through this 73,800. That's just my opinion. Again, anything can happen. I could see a world in which maybe we break below, spend a couple of days below to kind of like do a false confirmation that we have broken down, and then maybe we come right back up. Again, they're always hunting for liquidity, always hunting for leverage, a lot of that type of stuff. So whenever there's something that's very consensus that people think could happen, usually they'll try and kind of fake that and then move the opposite direction, because that's when people are going to be trading on that type of information. Now, the last thing that I wanted to check out here as we're moving through, just want to give you guys a super quick update as we're going into this week, because obviously, the tariffs are going to be a very, very big question mark in terms of what happens to crypto this week. I mean, it could be okay, it could be really, really bad. This week could technically be the end of the bull market as we know it. We may have to wait, another year or 2 or 3 for us to see that action and that momentum come back, which if so, that's totally fine. Hopefully you're still here watching, you're wanting to learn, you're paying attention. This is where the money is made. The money is not made by going and buying all-time highs. If you are new to this cycle, you've probably done that. That's okay. It happens to all of us. Happened to me my first cycle. Happens to everybody their first cycle. That's just how you get in. The people who win, though, are the ones who stay around after they kind of learn that hard lesson the first go around, and then they have to go through and kind of figure out how to be a good investor in crypto. So we can see this on the Bitcoin chart, still have that, that structure that we do need to break for us to kind of get back in that uptrend. If you are interested in trading any of this volatility, any of this type of action, anything like that, feel free to use the link the links in my description below. Here you can see we were looking on Phemex. You can see they've got this new pilot trading account where you can essentially leverage trade like micro cap coins. I would strongly discourage anybody from doing this that is not like an expert in trading. This can be incredibly volatile. So crypto's already volatile, right? And so this can be even more volatile. So just make sure you're being very, very careful. You should be advanced plus to be using something like this in my mind. And then also, but they do have these trading bots as well. I've talked about this several times. A lot of the chop that we've seen going on here, the grid trading bot is a really, really good option for that. I really actually like grid trading bots. I was actually paying for a grid trading subscription prior to finding Phemex, so a really good deal there if you are interested. Like I said, links all in the description below. Do have WEEX and BTCC if you prefer either of those instead. Now, moving along, I kind of want to focus on Bitcoin dominance, because one thing that we've seen over the past couple of months that's very interesting is we saw kind of it following this very rough kind of trend line. If we go way, way back, we can see this is even from the beginning of 2024. It's kind of been following this rough trend line. You can see here, this is the daily chart, but you can see, a little bit of a break here, a little bit of a break here, a considerable break here, and this is kind of the point. You can see this was November. This was kind of the point at which we thought, Bitcoin dominance is breaking down. We're going into an alt season. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be great. And then basically ever since then, we've seen it go up only. So this is quite the fake out here. It was one of two things. It was either quite the fake out or the lamest alt season we have ever seen in crypto's history. Both are possibilities. It's really hard to say for sure, but what we can see is ever since we saw this dip down, it's been consistent, basically up only, continuing to make higher highs. We can actually see right now the Bitcoin dominance is the highest that it's been, I think, since like back in 2021. Let me just zoom out real quick. Yeah, we can see it's the highest it's been probably since like March of 2021. So pretty impressive, that it continues to just keep running. And keep in mind, this is also while Bitcoin is going down. So this just speaks to the weakness that we're seeing out of alts. Also just getting absolutely crushed. Obviously, again, this is not a perfect trend line. We've seen breaks down here. We saw kind of some breaks down here. But overall, you can see probably fairly clearly that it does kind of follow this general trend, is kind of basically what we're seeing here. And so I do think that is noteworthy and notable to consider when you are determining, are things going up, are things going down, how far up, how far down, a lot of that type of thing. One thing that I would say is if you are looking to invest in altcoins, probably don't. To me, at least, it does not seem like this would be the best time to do so. just because there's so much uncertainty in the market. As we talked about, reciprocal tariffs are coming on April 2nd, which I believe, let's just check the date. I believe that is Wednesday. Yeah, so it's Wednesday. That is going to be really, really interesting and really telling, I think, probably for what happens the rest of the year. Of course, on Wednesday, we're not going to have a full picture of the complete economic impact, but that will be very telling in terms of how the market reacts, the market's general like attitude towards if we're going to be able to like weather the potential short-term economic storm of implementing tariffs. Again, we talked about this on the live stream on Friday, but just as a quick refresher for anybody that did not watch, essentially what we have is we have tariffs, which are inflationary, but you also have cutting in government spending and cutting in taxes potentially. That has been floated a couple of different times. And so you have kind of two things kind of deflating price, and then you have one thing inflating. And so depending on how kind of all that stuff works together, kind of the switch over time from all these different things, it could cause some short-term bumpiness. And of course, if we see short-term bumpiness, that is going to be very, very bad for crypto. Again, just in the short term, I still do believe long-term, the crypto is going to be going up only. I think it's going to be, it's a fantastic asset. It's essentially building kind of like what we saw out of the internet in like maybe the late 90s, early 2000s, right? The technology is there. The technology makes sense, particularly into the new paradigm of like AI agents and all of that type of stuff. So I do think it's very noteworthy that like, crypto will have a place to stay. We just don't exactly know when and where and how much, a lot of that type of stuff. So again, this just speaks to the fact that you need to be paying attention, make sure that you're continuing to understand what's actually going on in crypto, make sure you're keeping up to speed with all of the various different things. I do find it a little strange that markets are moving so close to the tariffs. I mean, this has been forecasted out for over a month. I'm not sure if the market was, maybe expecting Trump to just go back on it. I mean, he has done that before, so maybe the market wasn't necessarily taking these tariffs seriously. Hard to say. We'll have to see for sure what exactly happens when tariffs go into place. If they do, I mean, we still do have 2 days for them to potentially be, canceled or pushed back or, renegotiated, something like that. So all I would say is just be very, very careful in this time period. Make sure that you're not, taking too high leverage trades. Make sure you're not doing anything crazy in terms of, buying some super micro altcoins, trading meme coins, a lot of that type of stuff. Really, really bad time to be doing any of that, in my opinion. And again, I'll speak to what I'm doing personally. This is not financial advice. You need to kind of make your own decisions on what you'd like to do there. But what I'm doing personally is if I'm buying any crypto at all, it's all going to be going into Bitcoin. I do have some alt positions that I still have. Not really considering adding much to any of them just until we get a better sense of where we're going, and then we can go from there. Not planning on selling anything just because I don't think, I mean, kind of the wrong time for that, right? But in a lot of what I was holding anyway, I did have pretty high conviction in. If we do continue to see like this might turn into a longer bear market, I might actually go out and sell some of my lower conviction alts, but any of the high conviction alts, I mean, I've got them. I've already said on the channel several times that I'm willing to hold those for years and years if needed. So I meant it when I said it. So I'm continuing to be okay with the possibility that could happen. So anyway, hopefully this was useful. Hopefully it was helpful, all that type of good stuff. If it was, a like and a subscribe really, really does help. Thank you so much for watching. It's always nice to, know that there are going to be people out there that are watching my videos and hopefully find them helpful, a lot of that good type of stuff. But just remember, none of us know for sure what is going to happen within the crypto market. So you have to be vigilant. You have to trust your gut. You have to do your own research. You need to make sure that you are taking responsibility for your investment, because that's ultimately it's on you. Obviously, you can look to various people for guidance or maybe some different like views on the market, but ultimately you're the one who has to kind of manage your own portfolio. So just make sure that you're taking responsibility for that and you understand kind of the magnitude of that. So anyway, like I said, hopefully it was useful. I also do have that link in the description below to Patreon if you are looking to join my private Discord group. This is where I'll talk about various things kind of before I make videos about them or anything like that. So if you are interested in just kind of hanging out, chatting, getting into kind of hang out in a little bit more of like a private, personal, like small group type of setting, please feel free. Links in the description below. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.